So there's always something to celebrate, right? Something that happens first thing in the morning. Those of us who have the honor to be alive, we wake up in the morning and then something happens, right? There's that like first thought as we reconstitute from wherever we were for all these hours, right? Where does soul go? What's actually happening in sleep? Which is more real, wherever we are when we sleep or what this is, right? But there's a moment there when we first get started in the morning, and some kind of element of choice because the worrying, anxious, judgmental, critical mind has some commentary, and also we have some choices. You know, it's the old story of the two wolves, like which wolf do you feed? So how we start our day really makes a difference, and it's very, very understandable to look at the world and to look at our lives and to look at the challenges and issues and have a kind of a negative view of that, of like, oh, this isn't so great. I'd rather that wasn't happening, or this ache and pain wasn't there, or this friend didn't have that diagnosis or whatever. Like, it's so easy to look the outside, and find all the things that we think if we were the clockmaker here, this clock needs a little fine tuning. You know what I mean? Needs a little bit of fine tuning. If it were up to me, this wouldn't be happening, or this would be happening, whatever it might be. And yet we always have that choice to look within and to go deeper. And the oceans are just so huge, we can't even comprehend it. And these storms, even the worst hurricanes, only affect at most the top 200 feet of ocean gets stirred up by the big storms. In the smaller storms, it's even less than that. And yet there's miles of ocean beneath that 200 feet, 100 feet of turbulence. And the same is with you. There is a depth that is astounding beneath all of that. And so, whatever you've got to do to hack that a little bit in the morning is something worth really finding. So is it a message on your wall? In my room, where I sometimes wake up, I painted a big oval with that chalkboard paint. You know, the chalkboard paint you can do. It's a little bit difficult to use. You got to get the surface really smooth. And then I can get out my chalkboard and put on whatever message is totally empowering to me. I've got a few messages on my wall behind here. This is an old room, so it's just like thumbtacks in the wall. Who cares? Fix it later, right? So I find messages and put that through and put that up there, and then boom, it's there. Like, whatever your eyes, your senses, what happens first thing? Because the phone is rarely going to be empowering unless you have empowering message on the screen, unless whoever texted you overnight is really an uplifting part of your life. You can maybe like take a peek to see, is there anything urgent, right? Is there anything important here? And if not, like, put that back down. The suck of the phone is probably not going to be that uplifting few moments, right? I'm not talking about an hour. It's like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Do you shake it off? Like, it's sunny outside. We're in the Northeast. Outside for, like, let the sun in your eyes. How many of you do that? How many of you get sun in your eyes? They say for your sleep rhythms, for melatonin and cortisol and all the things, that if you can get actual sun in your eyes within 10 minutes, even just for a few minutes, it really helps your body know where it is in time and space. Or maybe it's a prayer, right? Pray for others. A few minutes. Maybe it's meditation. Meditation doesn't need yoga or Qigong, and then the things, and then the candles, and then the chanting, and then the pranayama, and then the breath work, right? We get these recipes. Maybe we're on retreat and we feel great, and we get this recipe like it took 2 hours. That's how it was for me when I was struggling to get out of my addiction. I now wear sobriety like a badge of honor. It was hard won, right? Very hard won. But there was a time where it wasn't that way, right? So it's like, what are those thoughts? What are we doing? How are we setting that up? And so I'd be on retreat, and we do the yoga, the this and the that, and then this and then that. I'd be like, wow, I feel great. That took 2.5 hours. So then I'd think, I need 2.5 hours of morning practice. And for a long time, I got up at 4 to make sure I had time for practices, because I was stuck and I wanted to be free. But now I notice it can be much, much swifter. First couple of minutes. So think about that when you reconstitute from sleep and you have that moment where you're not asleep and you first wake up, boom, thoughts are there. And wherever they come from, Daniela teaches that the first thought is innocent. Whatever it is, it's innocent. It arises spontaneously without your consent. Thoughts are some kind of mystical, magical manifestation of electrochemical impulses in the body and in the brain, right? It shows up. There it is. Then you have choice. Second thought. Are you watering that? Oh yeah, they should do that. They shouldn't do that. I wish this, I wish that. Or are you saying, oh, let me step back. Let me step back. That situation will be there in 5 minutes, right? That situation will be there. I'm going to see that person later. I'm navigating that later. And first, let me find my way back to putting my anchor into the depths of that ocean. Some ships have what's called a sea anchor, right? So if the ocean's 2 miles deep, the boat can't carry enough chain to have an anchor go down 2 miles. It would sink the ship, right? You don't have enough. It's too heavy. You've probably seen videos of these giant ships putting their anchors down with these like massive links on their chains, right? So they have what's called a sea anchor, which is an anchor, and it just goes down deeper in the water and it just steadies it, right? So if the boat's here, or something that looks like a boat. The boat's like here, it's like da 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 da, right, tossing on the surface of the water, and you put the sea anchor down and it steadies it. You see what I mean? Like it steadies it. So it doesn't whee, it's like, oh, there's something down there. So find your own sea anchor and use it. It's free. You have choice. So claim that choice. Claim your first 5 minutes. If the rest of the world has the rest of your day, all the responsibilities and family and work and changing the oil and who knows what, like all that, yeah. Give yourself whatever time you can. It's precious. To drop down your sea anchor and remember what you are. Remember what you are. And so in our practice today of the 8 brocades, this is 8 practices that were thought to be at least 2,500 years old. It's 8 gentle and powerful movements to improve circulation, organ function, emotional balance, and overall health. Sounds like a lot of what we do, right? And yet, this is an opportunity to try to go beneath the body, to see if you can go deeper into the practice, because this body is the grossest manifestation of our life energy. This is the densest, right? Like tuck your body, like hit your body, like dense, right? Touch your own body, tap your body. Like, oh, there's something, feels pretty solid, right? It's real convincing. But if you look at your body under an electron microscope, you're going to see it's mostly empty space. just like everything, just like this table, these chairs, that light. You zoom in far enough and you find almost nothing. It's wild. And energetically, there's a relationship between our soul, our mind, our energy body. There's all these layers. In the yoga tradition, it's called koshas, sheaths. We call them sheaths. You imagine a light bulb, right? A light bulb in the lamp has a covering on it. If that covering weren't there, the light would be brighter. And if I put a sheet over that, it would be a little dimmer. And then a blanket over that, it would be a little dimmer. And the more things I put over that light, pretty soon almost no light escapes. And so this body is the outermost sheath of an inner light that is so indescribably bright that if we were truly to let it out, we might worry that we would get burned or we would get blinded by the light. And yet that's what we're working with here. We're working with thinning down those sheaths so that they're less dense, so that the light that is coming through your eyes and through your smile can be in this world, can be revealed. This is how we uplift each other, even without our actions or our words. It's just who we're being. And so these practices, the 8 brocades of silk, think of them as these silk layers. And silk is smooth, right? Silk is the strongest natural fiber in the world, and it's silky smooth. So it's strong and supple and smooth. And so these practices, many of them you'll know, we've done them before, and they're really thought to be an energetic experience first and a physical experience secondarily. So we access our energy body through the physical body, and as we're doing these practices, keep turning your attention within. Route that precious state of mind back within. What's happening inside? It's okay if you don't feel a thing. It's still working. And let's get really curious at what's happening and how these practices, they go through these 8 brocades, go through all the different organ systems and all the different meridian systems. I've seen on Reddit and Facebook groups where a lot of practitioners will answer the question, how do I get started with Qigong? And a pretty common answer will be, do the 8 brocades for a year. You know, find one, do it every day. A year seems like a long time. Do it every day for a month, you know, see what happens. And it's a pretty quick set. We'll take our time with it today. It'll take a half hour. And on your own, it can easily be 20 minutes. No big deal. And maybe that's something that you do with those first precious minutes of your day. Well, let me get up. Let me do the 8 brocades. Don't have to overthink it. What was Christopher teaching? What did we do on Sunday? Where are we in our program? You don't have to overthink it. You can just say, oh, let me just do this one.